testing doesn't work if you don't do it. And I totally get why we, you and me included, don't do it more. Because either we think that testing a different variable, let's say on our sales page or our thank you page or in our email sequence, might not yield that much of an improvement. And we don't know necessarily just how good or how bad conversion rates are currently in our business compared to what they should be, right? We have a feeling. Maybe we're busy. Actually, we are busy. I'm busy. So our brains decide that spending the resources on testing then doesn't feel like a wise move. Or we've tested before and happened to get marginal improvements, or even worse, the test yielded worse results. And so now our brains are telling us that future tests won't be worth our time. But how do we actually know what will or won't work in a future test? Can we see the future? And these are just some of like the stories our brains tell us, right? And by the way, if you haven't heard my voice before, hi, I'm QUAY.jo. I'm the new host of the Art of Online Business. You can find out where the old host, Rick Mulready, went down in the descriptions below. I've linked up an episode where he shares about his new AI venture. It's not so new now. It's already like 6 months old, more actually. But also there's an episode down there where he interviews me, and I promise you, you'll still get, by listening and subscribing to this, the same tips and tricks and strategies and behind the scenes looks that will help you grow your business, your online course or membership from low six figures to high six figures and beyond. So I'm going to tell you about a quote that really gives some good perspective on testing. It's from this book that I'm holding up right here called Think Again by Adam Grant. And that link to this book, it's an Amazon link, is in the description below. But he says right here, if you're a scientist by trade, rethinking is fundamental to your profession. You're paid to be constantly aware of the limits of your understanding. You're expected to doubt what you know, be curious about what you don't know, and update your views based on new data. This book, can Think Again, it's really cool. I just started reading it. It talks about thinking differently, walking into your mind and thinking differently. And it has this idea about being a scientist who thinks like scientists do versus a preacher or a politician or a prosecutor. And it talks, and you have to read the book to see like the different ways of thinking and what it means by a preacher, a prosecutor, and a politician. I won't spoil it for you. Go get the book, link in the description below. But I'm going to talk about a client who got some really nice results from testing. But first, I wanted to share with you some stats that will help you decide if you even need to test, right? Because, like I said in the beginning of this episode, you might have a certain opt-in rate on your landing page, but because you're not super clear on the standard, you think you're doing great when you could be doing not so great, or you think you're not doing so great because of that negative story our brain tells us, and actually you're doing wonderfully well. So, here are some metrics that will help you decide whether or not you should be testing. Let's start with three simple ones, okay? Lead magnet opt-in rate should be right around 30%. Now, that is to cold traffic. So, if you're down at, say, 10% of the people landing on your lead magnet page, and only 10% are opting in, well, then you've got some testing to do. Work on the messaging. Make sure your buttons are a very unique, different color from everything else so they don't blend in. At the top of the page, is your button present? Like on the first screen, if somebody's viewing your page on a cell phone, can you see the opt-in button? Is it clear what problem your lead magnet solves and who it's for? All right, let's look at another one. Hey, we'll get right back to the episode in a moment. You want to make sure that you're avoiding all the mistakes with Facebook ads that could cost your business a good amount of money because your ads just aren't running like they should be. Well, you can hop on a call with me and I can look at your Facebook ads and you get to leverage my 3 years of Facebook ads management experience, optimize your account, fix it up right then and there on the call, so that your ads will be running better and getting either more leads for you or making more more sales for you. If you want my help, that is theartofonlinebusiness.com/call. And we can hop on Zoom together and you will learn so much as I fix your ads for you. All right, now back to the episode. Facebook ads, link click-through rate. This helps you decide, is your ad performing well enough? When I look at Facebook ads, which I do all day long for my clients, I am looking for a 1% link click-through rate. And this stat is the percentage of people that view your ad that click on the link and go to your website. Now, 1% is standard. If I see less than 1%, that tells me I need to spend some time improving performance. And if I see more than 1%, then that tells me I'm not going to, for example, 1.25% is great. That tells me I'm not going to spend time changing up copy or changing up the top 3 or 2 lines that appear above the ads, like graphic or ad creative, which would be video too. What about an order bump? Let's say you have something for sale, which I'm assuming you do because you have a successful business, right? And of course, you'll want to have an order bump. You know, the little low cost offer that is inside of like dotted lines, and there's very little to describe it because it's so simple. It's such a no-brainer. You just toggle the button and add the $7 offer to your made order. And so did you know that 20 to 30% of people that purchase your main offer should also be getting the order bump? Statistically. So if you don't have an order bump, now's time to get an order bump because you are missing out on extra revenue, friend. And what do you have an order bump be? Well, think about the result that the main offer is getting, right? Now, an order bump should help somebody get that result more easily or more quickly. So if you have that order bump and it's only converting at 5%, then maybe, as in 5% of the people who get your main offer are getting the old order bump, then maybe you decide to change up the messaging on the order bump or look and see how closely in the way I just previously described that order bump is related to your main offer. So those are 3 examples of conversion rates that can help you decide, do you need to test? Now, if you're absolutely crushing those conversion rates, then maybe you don't need to spend time in your business or your business's resources testing at the moment, and you can focus your time elsewhere. Now, of course, there's a bunch more stats for a bunch more things, but we're going to keep this pretty simple and straightforward in this episode. So I have a client who has been working with me for a while. He's in the volleyball niche, and he's pretty excited because he's seeing success in 2 areas. One, in increased sales coming from his thank you page where he has a tripwire offer, a welcome offer, if you will. I think that name is more suitable. A welcome offer, welcoming somebody to take a $1 14-day trial. So how did he increase his sales? Well, he had a countdown timer, and we were looking at the page, and we looked at how long the timer was, and I think it gave somebody, I forget the number of hours, let's just call it 5 hours to take this offer. And I was like, it's a thank you page for a lead magnet and it's a great deal. But if we give somebody like 5 hours to decide, they're not gonna decide because they've already swiped away. They've gotten the gratification of knowing that they downloaded the lead magnet. They're headed to their email to look at the lead magnet, or they're watching other cat videos on Instagram. So why don't we lower this timer down to 30 minutes? And he didn't lower it to 30 minutes. He lowered it to like 50 minutes. But it's working, and, he also changed some font colors. He jazzed up the page a bit. He put the $1 trial in red, and he increased the size of, like, the font surrounding the $1 trial. He changed the style of the timer. The page just looks a lot more attracted, and he's happy, right? He's sending me emails talking about the success of this, and now he's going to take this page and what he's done and apply it to some other pages in his business. So he also has been getting increased sales from his lead magnet email sequence, the one that goes after that sends out automatically to somebody after they've downloaded the lead magnet. And you know what he did? Testimonials. He added in more testimonials that have to do with the offer that he's selling in that sales sequence. And bonus tip, if you're going to choose testimonials, don't just choose the ones that say, "Rah, rah, rah, so and so is great to work with," but I would like a case study, i.e., somebody who took your program, who had a clear problem, and because of something that you provided in your program, got a solution. That would be the best thing. And even better if that case study is aligned with the lead magnet. The lead magnet presents a problem, right? And then the case study is about somebody who had that same problem that the lead magnet is solving, right? Except for they got that problem solved in detail or in more in depth inside of the program. That's a very cool case study. And then, he had links to various podcast episodes. And I was like, hey, how about link to a podcast episode where you are a guest on somebody else's podcast? Even better if it's an influential podcast. That way you can build your own authority. And how about link to a podcast episode on your podcast where you're talking about a topic that's aligned between the lead magnet and your course? Because your messaging with a lead magnet should basically be, if let's say you got 10 problems that you could solve or do solve for your ideal customer, your lead magnet solves a couple of those problems and opens up the fact that these other problems, the 8 problems, exist and are keeping your ideal customer from getting what they want. So he also included links that go out to his YouTube channel, but not just any YouTube video, videos that are aligned between the lead magnet and his membership offer that he sells in the email. And you know what else he did? Before, he had lots of links in one email going out to different places. A link to his Instagram, a call to action to follow to subscribe to his YouTube channel with a link, and then also go to the blog with a link. And I challenged him on this, and his response made sense on the surface. Where he's linking to are places of value, and he personally likes his email subscribers to have tons of valuable options so that they could go wherever they chose to go and get value. Makes sense, right? But there's this thing called decision fatigue, where essentially the more decisions you give somebody or a group of people, the lower the percentage of people in that group that actually take action. So imagine 100 subscribers coming onto your email list. If you only have one link going out of one email to a specific spot, that percentage of people that will click on that link will be higher than if you had the same email, but it included 16 different links to different places. We're like sheep. We need to be herded, for lack of a better term, and we need to be shown what's the next step. I had a guest on the podcast recently. I recorded an episode, you'll hear it soon, but she was talking about how think about emails or marketing like a party. When somebody comes to a party, they want to have fun, but they might not know anybody and they need to be directed to the first step and the second step. Like, hey, this is a Christmas party, so we got the name tags right over there. Put your name on it, slap it on your chest. That way you can like meet people and people can get to know your name a little more easily. And then it's like, well, what do I do from here? Right over there is the snack table. I'm pointing over on this side if you can see me on the YouTube channel. Go grab yourself a snack and then head to, what if you have a big house? Where do they go? They hear the din of excited guests, in conversation, but they don't know where to go. So you tell them, head out to the backyard under the lights, and that's where you'll find some cool people. Or, hey, you're like so and so, let me introduce you. An email should be like that. Instead of so many options with links everywhere, you should, since you know how to best serve the person, be able to say, hey, in this email, this, and then in the next email, that. And so my client did that, and he's experiencing more sales of his membership coming out of his email sequences now. And a bonus tidbit, he was on a call with me just last week, and he was saying, the interesting thing is people that are buying the membership now, some of them have been on my email list for a long time because he sent everybody back through the email sequence. And he was surprised that people who had been on the email list so long actually opened this lead magnet email sequence and bought the membership. And I'm like, well, hey, that just says you can email your list more than once with your lead magnet email sequence. If somebody's been sitting there on a year or, sitting on your list for a year, then maybe it's time to send them that sequence again. Minus the one that says, "Hey, you got your lead magnet," because they'll be like, "I didn't download a lead magnet. Why does it say, hey, I got the lead magnet?" So, like the book says right here, think again, Adam Grant. Don't let your brain think you or trick you out of testing, all right? Doubt what you know. Be curious about what you don't know and update your views based on new data.